Hey guys, this is Rocking3 bringing in a live commentary Forza 5. Actually, this is going to be an announcement for Forza Motorsport 6. And here's the preview video that came with it. I turned down the volume a little bit because it's a really loud video. The car that you see here is the 2016 Ford GT. Very cool looking. They haven't made this since 2005, 2006. Looks like this is going to be the featured car in the game. Ford did an announcement here at the Ford GT. They did the Ford Mustang, Shelby GT350R, and they did the Ford Raptor as well. Very cool looking cars. And in conjunction with this, they announced Forza Motorsport 6, as you see there. So the video that you're about to see here is not what the video is about. The video is about Forza Motorsport 6 that's coming out. We're assuming it's going to probably be in the November time range. This race is just a file that I had that you guys can watch while I talk. Anyway, so some of the things I'd like to talk about the Forza Motorsport 6 is what would I like to see improved or what would I like to see changed. And I want to first start by saying that Forza Motorsport 5 was a really good game. I'm still playing it. I'm January. I'm a year and 2 months into it, and I'm still playing it. That just goes to show you how much replayability this has. At the same time, I think there's definitely some improvements that can be made to this game, and I want to talk about those right now. Some of the things I think that could be improved a little bit is from a functionality. This is more of a technical topic here. Is one of the things that comes out with new games like this is that you get some people out there that don't want to play the game the way that you want to play the game. So in my case, I ran into some crash teams. I ran into some people that would wait for you to lap and then they would try to wreck you, whether it's for revenge or just because it's fun for them or because they got behind and they just wanted to kind of change the results of the race. What I'd like to see is anytime somebody gets lapped, they become a ghost player. They can no longer interfere with the rest of the game until they make up that past lap. I think that would just be a lot more enjoyable for some of us that like to just race and reward those people that stay out front, and it really would keep the game from getting changed like right at the very end of the race. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than running 4 laps, staying out in front, and then going from first to fifth because somebody waited for you to come back around with a high horsepower car or SUV and then just crash you. It's happened many times to myself. And I've seen it happen to other people, and it's just not very fun. Other things about this game that I like but not necessarily am excited about are the tracks. I do like them. I think they're great tracks. I just think the count and the variations are a little bit off. I would like to see more tracks than what we have here in Forza Motorsport 5 in the next install of Forza 6. But what I'd like to see is less variations of those tracks. So I would like to have about 20 tracks, but I'd like to maybe have 2 variations of each track. There's just, Alps has 6 variations of it, 3 going one direction, 3 going the other direction, and I like playing all the different Alps tracks. I'm not saying that they're bad. They're very beautiful tracks. They're very fun to race. But when you put them into a hopper and there's one Bathurst track and there's 6 Alps tracks, you're most likely going to get an Alps track. Your percentages, you're just going to get that. So I would like to see some of the tracks even out a little bit, where even a couple variations of each track I think would be more than enough. But again, I'd like to see more as well. This is Laguna Seca that you're watching here, and this actually has become probably one of the smaller tracks in the game. I do like the big tracks. I do like Road America. I do like Sebring. We've had those before. I like racing them. At the same time, I'd like to see maybe some even smaller ones. I'm going to say this wrong, but I think it's like Tsukuba or something like that. It was a really small track in Forza Motorsport 2, I believe. And it was just a fun variation because you had to have cars that were all-wheel drive or turned on a dime. Granted, the Mini Cooper 65 does really well in D and C class, But what I'm getting at is I would like to see more variations of size tracks, not necessarily bigger tracks, but maybe a couple of smaller ones. I would like to see Laguna Seca maybe become closer to a middle-sized track versus being one of the smaller ones. Now, there are smaller tracks, but this one's probably the one with the most turns, at least with the tighter turns. So it actually overall I think is a slower track. But anyway, I mean that's no here nor there. I just think there should be a little bit more variations of tracks, a little bit smaller, a little bit larger, and a little bit less variations of those tracks. Real happy with the number of cars they came out with. I think in this case less was more. They did a really good job with the cars. Front wheel drive was very competitive. Rear wheel drive was very competitive. There's been an installment of Forza before where rear wheel drives just could not compete with the all-wheel drive cars. The all-wheel drive cars are good, so they're all good. Now, having said that, I like the balance between the cars, and I think they're used in the right classes. The part that kind of bothers me about it a little bit is these cars when they come out of the box, so let's call them stock cars, they handle horribly. And what I mean by that is, like, if you ever taken a stock Ferrari Italia 458 out, you can't control it, you can't drive it. McLaren is another one of those cars where you drive it stock and it's almost undrivable. You can't brake, you can't turn. And I've drove those cars in real life, and they're really easy to drive around the track. They're easier to drive in real life than they are in a video game. I think this game would benefit by this would kind of tighten up the game a little bit. So you would have better cars that are stock with no tune on them that would actually drive better, and then you'd still keep the advanced factor of people being able to tune their cars and make them really fast and handle really well, or make them top speed monsters or whatever like that. But it would tighten up the gap between a person that can race a car but can't tune a car and a car that someone can tune and not necessarily drive. It would actually tighten up the gap between the bottom and the top. I think it would be a lot more enjoyable for some really good races. I think it would be a lot more enjoyable for those people that maybe aren't very good at tuning. They could still compete with other people somewhat. I still like the advanced tuning. As you know, my channel is mostly about tuning. So I think they could close that gap a little bit. I would like to see that. Some of these things you may see, some of these things you may not see. Hopefully it's not too much to ask at this point. This race is just about to finish up, but I do have a couple more topics, so we'll just let it rewind here. I definitely want to hear you guys' take on what you feel like you want to see coming out, what you'd like to see changed, updated. There was one more big factor that I would like to see, and that would be adding in some complexity to the game. Now, I'm a circuit racer. I'm not a drag racer. I'm not a drifter. I do circuit races. What I'd like to see is for them to pull in pit stops. And I think they could do this in a few different ways. They could, one, make it so that you could add one factor, like having fuel consumption. You have to actually take a pit stop. When do you stop for that? And how much fuel do you need? How long do you stay in there to take fuel? There might be another variation where you can make it more complex, so now you have to do fuel and tires. And then maybe like another level where you do fuel, tires, and actual damage to the car that needs to be repaired in the pits. I don't know, just some variations. I'd like to see some complexities, just a little bit more. You know, racing is fun. You never run out of fuel. You never run out of tires. It would be when you don't have the damage model on. But there's no variations. It's either all or nothing. Either you get hit in the first corner like that, and my car absolutely will not drive again, and you're uncompetitive. But what I'd like to see is just kind of a variation where a pit stop becomes a strategic part of the game, where I get to drive 3 laps, I have to take a pit, I can finish up 3 more laps. It doesn't have to extend the game a whole lot, but maybe you just don't start with a lot of fuel to begin with. Maybe you're allowed a quarter of a tank or something. Anyway, just some thoughts. So, real happy with 5. I've been playing it for a long time. I'd like to see a few adjustments into 6. I think they're doing a really good job with it, and I think they continue. It's going to be another long-term enjoyable game. In the comments below, let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear it, and I'm sure there's things you guys have thought of that I haven't. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Catch you next video. Later.